Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing fine. Today we are going to discuss Chapter 5 from Grade 6 CBSE, and the name of the chapter is A Different Kind of School. In this lesson, we have a very interesting message that is being conveyed by none other than E.V. Lucas, who's written this chapter for a reason. And that message is that if you want to teach a kid something new, make it very interesting, make it very easy for him. And if you engage him in different ways to learn the same thing, he'll never get sick of studies. Moreover, apart from academics, one needs to be concerned about others' emotions, about their problems, and even our environment for that matter. So we can get the best kids, responsible citizens, aware beings, if we educate them on the right track. So chaliye, let's learn about this interesting chapter. I had heard a great deal about Miss Bean's school, but now, till last week, did this chance come to visit it. So, a great deal means I'd heard to a great extent, a lot. So, the narrator is trying to explain that he had heard a lot about Miss Bean's school, and he finally got a chance to visit the school the previous week. When I arrived there, was no one in sight. In sight means to be seen. But a girl of about 12, her eyes were covered with a bandage and she was being led carefully between the flower beds. Flower bed means that area where we plant, area where flowers are planted. By a little boy who was about 4 years younger. She stopped, and it looked like she asked him who he had come. He seemed to be describing me to her. Then they passed on. So the narrator, when he happens to reach that school, he couldn't see anyone except a girl who was about 12 years of age. And her eyes, when you see her eyes, she wasn't blind, but it seems like her eyes were covered with a bandage, and she was being guided by a boy who was younger to her, and he was about 4 years younger, might be 8 years of age. So the girl came to know that there's somebody around, so she stopped and asked the person or the boy who was guiding her that who had come, to ask who was there. So now the boy who could see things and the girl couldn't, he explained that there's this person. He might have been describing how the narrator was looking or what he was wearing, and once it was done, they moved ahead. Miss Bean was all that I had expected. Middle-aged, full of authority, yet kindly and understanding. Her hair was beginning to turn grey, and she had the kind, plump figure, plump you can say, fat, that is likely to be comforting to a homesick child. I asked her some questions about her teaching methods, which I had heard were simple. Now, who is a homesick child? A person or a kid who is basically away from home and is missing his place. So now Miss Bean, when he happens to visit that school, Miss Bean looked the same as the narrator had heard about this lady. She was of middle age, maybe in her 40s or 50s, and very dominating, authoritarian. But also she was very friendly and understanding, passionate. And her hair were also turning grey, seems like she was getting old. She was a little fat and was trying to make, homesick kids who were away from their home feel better. So now the narrator asked her some questions about how she used to tackle with those kids, how she used to teach them. And he thought that she used those teaching methods that were very, very simple. No more than is needed to help them to learn how to do things. Simple spelling, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and writing. The rest is done by reading to them and then by interesting talks during which they have to sit still. Still means without moving. And keep their hands quiet. There are practically no other lessons. So, the bunch of questions that the narrator asked Mrs. Bean, she told her that her school taught kids in a very simple way, and they helped them learn simple, easy spellings, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and of course they taught them some writing skills. And whatever learning other than that was required, she used to read, or they used to do that by reading to them, making that interesting, making them talk, express their emotions. And when all this was being done, so the kids were supposed to sit silently without moving. And except this, she said there were no other lessons that she made the kids learn. So the real aim of this school is not so much to teach thought as to teach thoughtfulness. Thoughtfulness basically means care, respect, kindness to others, and being responsible citizens. Look out of the window a minute, will you? So now she adds to what she already said, told that this school here is basically to teach, to make kids sensible, caring, and responsible towards others' problems. And it's not just to teach that thought, but also to make them more sensible, kind, and considerate towards others. Make them learn their duties, be kind. So then she asked that, can you please look out of the window? I went to the window, which overlooked. Overlook basically means it has or have a view of something. A large garden and a playground at the back. What do you see? Mrs. Beam asked. So here what happened is, when she asked the narrator to overlook, so he went to the window and looked through the window. He was able to see a beautiful ground, and there were many kids playing there. And she even asked, what did you see there? What do you see there in the ground? I see some very beautiful grounds, I said, and a lot of jolly. Jolly means happy children. It pains me though to see that they are not all so healthy and active looking. When I came in, I saw one poor little girl being led out. She has some trouble with her eyes. Now I can see two more with some difficulty. And there's a girl with a crutch watching the others at play. She seems to be a hopeless cripple. Now I want to explain what is a crutch first of all. So this girl is walking with a crutch, which is a long stick used to support the armpits, and is basically used by the people who have some disability, who can't walk. Used by disabled people. And if that's a crutch, and if I talk about cripple is a person with that disability, a person who can't walk, right? A person who can't walk. So now the narrator answers the question asked by Mrs. Beam and told her that I can see beautiful garden and kids playing out there. They're very happy, but it does hurt me to talk and see that all the kids are not very healthy, they're not very active. And then he also told that once I entered the school, I did notice a girl who had some problem in her eyes and was being guided by another boy. And now I see more people with the same difficulty, with the same problem, who can't really see. Apart from that, I see a girl who's walking with a crutch, which means a stick that's used to support under armpits by a person who can't really walk. And she's just sitting watching others play. She seems to be hopeless cripple, a person who can't really walk. She's lame. So let's move on. Miss B laughed. Oh no, she said. She's not really lame. Lame is a person who can't walk without any external help. So this is only her lame day, where she has to pretend that she can't really walk. The others are not blind either. It is only their blind day. I must have looked very surprised, for she laughed again. Now Mrs. Bean, she answered, she laughed and tried to explain that no, that girl that you saw walking with crutch wasn't really lame. It was just her lame day. She was supposed to walk like that. It's an experiment. And the other people who you see wearing those bandage, they're just having a blind day, pretending to be blind so that they experience and they know how does it feel. And Mrs. Beam laughed at the narrator's astonished look. This is a very important part of our system, to make our children appreciate and understand misfortune. Now, appreciate basically means value, and misfortune means bad luck. We make them share in misfortune too. Each term, every child has one blind day, one lame day, one deaf day, one injured day, and one dumb day. During the blind day, their eyes are bandaged absolutely, and they are on their honor not to peep. The bandage is put on overnight so they wake up blind. This means that they need help with everything. Our children are given the duty of helping them and leading them about. They all learn so much this way, both the blind and the helpers. So, are on their honor basically means have promised. Now here, Mrs. Beam tries to explain that I want my kids to appreciate and understand how others feel who don't have all the organs working. So it's all a mindset that you've been fortunate in one way and the others have been fortunate in other ways. So you need to understand and share their misfortune. How do they feel? What problems do they face? So what I do is each term, in each session, over a period of time, I make sure that every child in my school observes a blind day where he or she becomes blind. There's a lame day where he or she can't really walk. One deaf day, one day they become injured, and one dumb day where they can't really speak. During the blind day, what we do, we bandage, we cover their eyes, we blindfold them, and they promise that that day they won't peep through the bandage at all. And that bandage is put over their eyes at night itself. So once they wake up, they have that bandage on their eyes and they can't see. So they wake up blind. And other children who can see, they help and guide those blind people. And this way, both the parties, those who've been blind and those who are helping, they learn a lot. These activities help them, these kinds of activities help them grow a lot. So there is no misery about it. Misery basically means there's no difficulty. Mrs. Bean continued, everyone is very kind, and it is really something of a game. Before the day is over, though, even the most thoughtless child realizes what misfortune is. Thoughtless means careless. Now, Mrs. Bean adds further that this is just a kind of a game where even the most careless kid learns a lot. He learns to be responsible, caring, affectionate towards the end of the day. The blind day is, of course, really the worst. But some of the children tell me that the dumb day is the most difficult. We cannot bandage the children's mouth, so they really have to exercise their willpower. What is a dumb? Where you are voiceless. Come into the garden and see for yourself how the children feel about it. So definitely the blind day was the worst, but as for many children and their experience, they say, ma'am, no, it's the dumb day where we are voiceless, we are wordless, which is the most difficult. Why? Because we don't put bandage around their mouth. We don't do that. That's not allowed. So children have to have enough courage, need to have enough courage, willpower, strength, that not to speak, not to utter a word. And then she took the narrator to the garden to let him actually watch, observe the children playing and experience their feeling. Miss Bean led me to one of the bandaged girls. Here's a gentleman come to talk to you, said Miss Bean, and left us. So come to talk to means who has come here to have a conversation. So Mrs. Bean now took the narrator to the playground where there was a girl who had bandaged around her eyes, or who had covered around her eyes and couldn't really see. So she introduced the girl to that gentleman and told that, my dear, here there's a person who's come here to talk to you. And then she left. Don't you ever peep? Don't you ever look around? I asked the girl. Oh no, she exclaimed. That would be cheating. But I had no idea it was so awful. Awful means bad, to be blind. You can't see a thing. You feel you are going to be hit by something every moment. It's such a relief just to sit down. Are your helpers kind to you? I asked. So now the narrator asks that girl that even though you're blindfolded, don't you ever try to peep or maybe look quickly that, okay, what's coming next? Where am I going? So the girl answered, oh no, she cried. She anxiously answered, no, that would be cheating. And she definitely told that before this, she never realized how it was being blind. That was really bad. And then definitely one wasn't, she shares her experience that when one is not able to see anything, you have that discomfort at every step where you get scared of being hit by something or the other. So she tells it's just very comforting when you sit down, because then you don't have to worry of what's going to hit you. And the narrator asked, are the people who are here to help you, are they really nice? Are they kind? Fairly. Well, I forgot to talk. नियम एक ही है, लॉयल रहना होगा. I hope you all know this. Fairly, but they are not as careful as I shall be when it is my turn. Those that have been blind already are the best helpers. It's perfectly ghastly, which means it's causing horror, fear, not to see. I wish you'd try. Shall I lead you anywhere? I asked. So now, when the narrator asked if the people who are here trying to help you, are they nice, are they kind? So she said, yes, they are. But since now I've experienced how it is being blind, I can help them better. I can be a better helper to them as they are what they are to me. So it's very horrible horrible experience when you can't really see. And she tells that I wish you could also try the same. You must give it a try. And then the narrator asked if he could show her the way and help her go anywhere. Oh yes, she said, let's go for a little walk. Only you must tell me about things. I shall be so glad when today is over. The other bad days can't be half as bad as this. Having a leg tied up and hopping about a crutch is almost fun, I guess. Having an arm tied up is a bit more troublesome, because you can't eat without help and things like that. I don't think I'll mind being deaf for a day, at least not much. But being blind is so frightening. My head ache, which means pains, all the time just from worrying that I'll get hurt. Where are we now? Glad means happy. Hopping means jump. You take small steps and then you jump. Crutch, I told you, it's a long stick that's used by the disabled people who can't walk. And troublesome means irritating or annoying. And frightening means terrifying, that makes you get scared. So now the lady or the girl accepts and tells that, okay, let's go for a walk. And all you need to do is just keep telling me about the things that we come across. And she said that she would be full of joy once this day is over. She'll be very, very happy because, of course, she used to undergo a lot of stress. And then she explains to the narrator, she said that I do experience other bad days, but they're half as bad as being blind. Like being blind is like 100% bad, and the other bad days are like at 50%. So, in her opinion, when we have other things and other fun to do, like we have a leg tied up where we can't walk, where we can't, or we have to jump or have our arm tied, it is also bad. It's difficult. You can't eat without some help if you have your arm tied. You can't walk properly if your leg is tied. But she said that she wouldn't really be upset once this day gets over. even once this blind thing gets over, because it's very frightening to be blind. It troubles her mind, it bothers her all the time, and she's under this constant fear of getting hurt. In the playground, I said, we were walking towards the house. Miss Bean is walking up and down the garden with a tall girl. What is the girl wearing? My little friend asked. A blue cotton skirt and a pink blouse. I think it's Millie, she said. What color is her hair? Very light, I said. Yes, that's Millie. She's the head girl. There's an old man tying up roses, I said. Yes, that's Peter. He's the gardener. He's hundreds of years old. And here comes a girl with curly red hair. She's on crutches. That's Anita, she said. So the narrator, he was explaining as to who all was there in the playground while they were walking towards the house. They first encountered Mrs. Bean, who was walking up and down the garden with another girl who was tall. So this little girl who was with the narrator, she asked that, who can you see? Can you explain about how does she look like? So what's she wearing? So the narrator told her that she's wearing a cotton skirt, and with that she's matched a pink blouse. Then the girl tells, oh, that might be Millie. She further confirms that what is the color of her hair? So the narrator tells that it's light in color, very light, and she was confident this time, and she acknowledged that it's definitely Millie. She is the head girl. And then the narrator tells there's another old man who's tying up the roses in the lawn in the garden, and she said, oh, that's our gardener whose name is Peter, and he's quite old, as you can say, he's 100 years old gardener. And then of course they come across another girl who has curly red hair, and she's also walking on the crutches. They crossed her, and now this time the small girl told that she was Anita. Also, so we walked on gradually. Now what is gradually? It means slowly. I discovered that I was 10 times more thoughtful than I ever thought I could be. I realized that if I had to describe people and things to someone else, it made them more interesting to me. When I finally had to leave, I told Miss Bean that I was very strong to go. Ah, she replied, then there is something in my system after all. Now, when the narrator realized that it was time for him to leave, so he realized that he's become very thoughtful, he's learned a lot from the system, he's become very sensitive, very responsive towards the disabled people, and he didn't have the heart to leave the place, he didn't want to go. So when he told this to Miss Bean, she proudly said that this system of her school was very special, very unique, and even the visitors felt and had the same experience that I make my kids learn. They definitely take the best memories with them and learn the best lessons of life here. So that's all for the lesson. Thank you. In case you like, please like, share and subscribe.